Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala nabina Muhammadin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, brothers and sisters, to another installment of our weekly series analyzing the address. It is a belated installment because obviously typically we do this on the evening of the khutbah, but because of a few things that I had going on, some health related issues and some other things, was not able to do it on this past Friday. But there were some important points that I wanted to expand on from the khutbah, and so I thought for our first opportunity to get back and get on the live and kind of connect with you once again, I figured the first opportunity back we should go ahead and talk about some of the things in the khutbah that we were not able to expand on given the time. And I would just want to hit on 2 points actually. I don't want to make it something extremely extensive, but there were 2 points that I felt really should be expanded upon and we should contemplate more deeply. So when we open the khutbah, we've been doing this series, as you know, where we've been talking about the paths to certainty and the paths to achieving certainty and to ridding the paths that will result in us ridding ourselves of doubt. And I wanted to kind of, in the opening, kind of state emphatically why we were spending so much time. This was the 5th khutbah in the series. Why we were spending so much time on this topic, the topic of the path to certainty. And we mentioned the khutbah, we said the reason that we've dedicated so many sermons to this topic is because doubt is actively threatening the faith of many Muslims, especially young Muslims. And the purveyors of doubt and misinformation about Islam are highly active, extremely effective, and in no short supply. They are numerous. They are in abundance, unfortunately. And so this is one of the points that I want to expand upon this evening. And that is to say that these purveyors of doubt, brothers and sisters, are not all from without the Muslim community. Non-Muslims and clear enemies of Islam. Typically when we start saying that, okay, they're purveyors of doubt and misinformation of Islam, the first thing our mind goes to is non-Muslims. People who are clear enemies of Islam. But the reality, brothers and sisters, is that unfortunately in many cases, these purveyors of doubt are from within the Muslim community, and consequently they are rarely suspected, and sometimes they are even defended while their detractors are attacked. That basically these people are spreading doubt, they're spreading misinformation, they're Muslims, and because they're Muslims they're given the benefit of the doubt, and they continue to spread doubt, and people become privy to the doubt that they're spreading. They begin to point out, hey, this person is spreading misinformation about Islam, this person is spreading doubt, and the people who point that out will be attacked. Why? Because it seems as if it's Muslim on Muslim crime. One Muslim is attacking another Muslim when in reality, one Muslim is defending Islam against a purveyor of doubt who just happens to be a Muslim. And because they are Muslims, as we said, the harm that these Muslim purveyors of doubt cause and are able to, the damage that they're able to do, and the doubts and misinformation they're able to spread, they often go undetected until it's too late. That people just don't wake up and don't realize that these people are doing harm and misleading them until it's too late because they're Muslims. And they get the benefit of the doubt, as they should, but at the same time, it is incumbent for us to avoid being naive, brothers and sisters. And we have to realize that as much as we want to believe that every apparently Muslim person is sincere and harbors no malice towards Islam and has the purest intentions, the reality is that an-nifaq. And what is an-nifaq, brothers and sisters? It is when a person openly gives the appearance of having allegiance to Islam, being aligned with Islam and with the Muslim, while in reality harboring hatred in his or her heart towards Islam, contempt toward the Muslims, and secretly aligning his or herself with disbelief and the disbelievers. So we have to understand, brothers and sisters, we can't be naive. An-nifaq is a real thing. Allah has repeatedly warned us in the Quran about the hypocrites and their machinations. And the Prophet ﷺ has warned us repeatedly that there will be imams. This means people who have knowledge, people who have credentials, people who, when you look at them on the surface, you think that they are qualified, capable, and credible, purveyors and propagators of Islam, imams. That there will be imams who will mislead people, some wittingly and some unwittingly. The Prophet said in the one hadith, he said, "Akhwaf," he was speaking to his companions, he said, "Akhwafu ma khafu alaykum al-a'imma al-mudillin." He said, the thing that I fear the most for you are those imams who will mislead you. And he said in the other hadith, he said, "Inna Allah la yaqbidu al-ilma intiza'an yantazi'uhu min qulub al-ibad. ولكنه يقبض العلم بقبض العلماء حتى إذا لم يبق عالما اتخذ الناس رؤوسا جهالا فسئلوا فأفتوا بغير علم فضلوا وأضلوا." He said, Allah does not seize knowledge by abruptly snatching it from the breasts of his servants. Rather, he seizes it by taking the souls of the scholars and causing them to pass away. Until when he does not leave a learned man behind, then the people will take ignorant people to be their spiritual guides. They will be asked and respond and issue religious verdicts without the requisite knowledge, and thereby go astray and take others astray with them. So brothers and sisters, we need to be aware, and we need to beware. And be on the lookout for these hypocrites and misleading imams that Allah spoke about in the Quran and the Prophet spoke about emphatically and repeatedly in the Sunnah. And how can we recognize them? What are some of the signs by which they can be recognized? It's important, brothers and sisters. This is a reality that we're living. Whether we want to admit it or not, it's an ugly truth, but it's still the truth. And so what are the signs by which these people can be recognized so that we can be on the lookout and then we can be aware and we won't be duped by them, misled by them, provided misinformation by them, and led astray by them? So one clear sign that everybody should be able to pick up on is when a person who says that they are a caller to Allah, they are an imam, they are a scholar, they are a Muslim, they represent Islam, and they're teaching Muslims, but while they teach Muslims, they speak ill of Islam. They insult and belittle Muslim scholars and Islamic scholarship. And it's clear from this that they harbor hatred or at least contempt for Islam and for the Muslims. This is a clear sign of what? An-nifaq. And so we have to be aware of it. We can't be naive. This is a sign. It's a red flag. It's a flashing neon sign saying beware, beware. We can't ignore that. Another indication is that they call to themselves instead of calling to Allah and His Messenger. What is the duty of the scholar? What is the duty of the imam? To call to Allah, to connect people with Allah, to be a bridge. To be a bridge for people to Allah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. He says, say, O Muhammad, this is my path. I call to Allah. عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ, upon sound knowledge. أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. I do this, and those who follow me do the same thing. The true callers to Allah, they call to Allah. أَدْعُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ. I call to Allah, I don't call to myself. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, اتَّبِعُوا مَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُم مِّن رَبِّكُمْ وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا مِن دُونِهِ أَوْلِيَاءَ. Follow what has been revealed to you of your Lord, from your Lord, and do not follow instead of it awliya. Don't follow instead of it people and individuals and their personal opinions and perceptions and ideas and philosophies. Follow what has been revealed to you of the Lord. Call to Allah. And so one of the clear signs that we're dealing with one of these misleading scholars or misguiding scholars is when they say, I say, I feel, in my opinion. And they say this. For example, they'll mention what Allah said and His Messenger said and then say, yeah, I know, but I say, I feel. They're calling, if they do that, then they're calling to themselves and not calling to Allah. They should be telling us what Allah said and what His Messenger said. Another sign, we'll mention just one more, Al-Ujala, is that they'll give, the Prophet said in the Hadith, they'll give religious verdicts based solely on their opinions in opposition to the Quran, the Hadith, and the unanimous agreement of the scholars, or the views that they have held historically. So they'll have these opinions, they'll give these verdicts, and when you look at the verdict closely, upon close inspection, you see that it opposes an ayah. What the person is saying goes against what the Quran says, or goes against a hadith, or goes against an ijma', the unanimous agreement of the scholars, or goes against what the scholars have historically said. Maybe they had 3 opinions about an issue, but this person comes out with what? With a 4th opinion. Opposes the views of the scholars which they've held historically. And I'm going to give an example which is pertinent to the holiday season which just passed. I just want to give an example quickly just so you can see what I'm talking about and what we need to be aware of. Because many times when a knowledgeable person or one of these celebrity imams, one of these people who's very famous and well known for being knowledgeable or being a da'i or a caller or a preacher of Islam, we just give them a pass and we don't scrutinize the things that they say. And in many cases, what they're saying actually contradicts what Allah's Messenger said. And because they are so knowledgeable or so famous, we just say, well, they must know something we don't know. But I'm going to give you an example just so you can see what I'm talking about. So this holiday season, when it passed, or when it was going on, obviously there was a lot of debate amongst scholars, amongst laymen, regular people, on social media about whether or not Muslims should celebrate or be celebrating the holidays, or even just giving well wishes, congratulating the non-Muslims on Christmas and saying, for example, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, etc. There was this debate on social media, etc., amongst Muslims, in masajid, etc. So this particular celebrity imam, don't need to mention his name. The name is not important. What's important is what he said. Is that basically he made a statement. He said, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, learn to accept difference of opinion. Imposing your opinion on others won't heal the ailing globe. Hate less and love more. I'm going to repeat it. This is what he said. Whether you're celebrating Christmas or not. This is a tweet to who? To Muslims. It says, to the Muslims, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, learn to accept difference of opinion. Imposing your opinion on others won't heal the ailing globe. Hate less and love more. So this tweet, it gives the message as if to say that celebrating Christmas is a matter of choice. And those who discourage people from celebrating or congratulating or sending well wishes those Muslims who either discourage other Muslims from celebrating, or they discourage them from congratulating and sending well wishes because of the indication that conveys of approval. You approve of this practice. These people, basically, he's saying they are wrong for doing so. In a roundabout way, whether you're celebrating Christmas or not, it's a choice. And then he says, imposing your opinion on others won't heal the ailing globe. As if, listen, if that's your opinion that we shouldn't celebrate, keep it to yourself. Don't impose it on others. Don't discourage other people from doing what they feel is okay to do. Then he said, then he gives the impression that those who disapprove of Muslims celebrating Christmas are hateful, bad. He says hate less. These people who disapprove, they're haters. Hate less, they're bad. And those who celebrate or give well wishes are what? They're loving people. They're the good people. Now, I want you to clearly understand what I'm saying, because some people are going to say, oh, see, you people, when somebody doesn't agree with your view, you attack them and you say that they don't have knowledge or they don't follow the Quran and Sunnah, as if you're the only one, you have a monopoly on following the Quran and Sunnah. That's not what I'm saying. That is not what I'm saying. If a person wants to have a different opinion, they have a right to have a different opinion, provided that opinion is a valid opinion, an acceptable opinion, an opinion which is founded in the Quran and Hadith, as understood by scholars. He has some type of precedent, as Imam Ahmed and other scholars used to say historically. They used to say, إِيَّاكَ تَتَكَلَّمْ فِي مَسْأَلَةٍ لَيْسَ لَكَ فِيهَا إِمَامٌ. beware of speaking about an issue and you don't have a precedent. You don't have somebody before you who understood it the way you understand it, who said what you said. Right? So this is the thing, when you don't have academic precedent for what you're saying, and you're not supporting it. Notice at no point did he support what he said with any evidence. And he made it seem as if it was a choice. Although he can have whatever opinion he wants, that's not the issue. It's having an unorthodox opinion, an unfounded, baseless opinion, which contradicts the Quran, contradicts the Hadith, contradicts the ijma', the agreement of the scholars, and contradicts what they've historically said and the opinions and views that they've historically held. This is where the issue comes, and you don't even feel like you have to what? Like you have to support and justify. This is what I feel, this is what I say, and that's it. And this type of approach to da'wah and teaching confuses the masses, misleads them, and sows the seeds of doubt in their heart. And this is what we're talking about in the khutbah. And when we talk about in the series of khutbahs, that this is what we want to avoid. We want to avoid exposing ourselves to doubt. And unfortunately, some of the people who expose us to doubt and give us the misinformation that makes us doubt and misleads us are within our own midst. And again, this fatwa that the person gave, this tweet that he tweeted, as I said, the message in it contradicts the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, He says, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ وَإِذَا مَرُّوا بِاللَّغْوِ مَرُّوا كِرَامًا. Those who do not witness, do not observe falsehood. And if they pass by some vain talk or vain practice, they pass by it with decorum, with nobility, etc., with dignity. The scholars of Islam, the specialists of tafsir, a large number of them from the early period have all said that the meaning of this verse, وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَشْهَدُونَ الزُّورِ, those who not witness falsehood, they said it refers to a'yad al-mushrikeen, a'yad al-kuffar, the holidays and celebrations of the non-Muslims. If they don't witness it, if they won't even observe the non-Muslims practicing it, they definitely won't participate in it. Right? Also, we have the hadith where the Prophet ﷺ, we mentioned in the khutbah a couple weeks ago, where the Prophet ﷺ, he came to Medina and he told them that they had to leave all of their holidays, non-Muslim holidays, and accept only the Islamic holidays. So it goes against the hadith. It also goes against the ijma'. Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala, in his book Ahkam Ahl al-Dhimma, he mentions the ijma', the unanimous agreement of the scholars, irrespective of madhab, that celebrating the holidays of non-Muslims is prohibited. And even wishing them well on those holidays is something which is a greater sin than wishing them well for drinking wine and committing adultery and fornication, etc. This is Ibn al-Qayyim saying this is the ijma' of the Muslims. Al-Muhim, I say all this to say, brothers and sisters, that this is becoming more and more common, where people, because of their celebrity, because of their credentialing, because of the fame that they have procured, they are able to speak without being checked and say incorrect things which will mislead and create doubts in people's minds about Islam, about the true Islam. They're able to do that. And this is a problem that we need to be aware of, first of all, and we need to be on the lookout for it, and we need to make sure that we're avoiding falling into this trap. The second thing that I wanted to point out from the khutbah, and this will be the last thing that I'll mention this evening, is that we talked. There were a few places in the khutbah where we talked about and emphasized the importance of learning the deen. And so in one portion in the early part of the khutbah, we said, so we need to protect ourselves against this all-out assault on faith. And the best defense we have is knowledge. Knowledge that will liberate us from doubt and fill our hearts and the hearts of our youth with unshakable conviction, al-yaqeen. Then a little later on, we went on to say, we said, the more we know our religion and know about our religion, the more we will be convinced of its truthfulness. And we talked about how when religion is just merely a habit or a custom, it is merely a part of our culture or our heritage. It's not something that we practice based upon knowledge, but we practice because it's what? It's been handed down from generation to generation. When that is the case, it's just a cultural thing. It is easily doubted because it's not based upon knowledge. And when it's doubted and you say, well, yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this. I can't justify this. It's easily what? Discarded in that case. But when our religion is studied and closely examined, one can clearly see its merits and advantages, and this will lead us to become certain of the truth. So all of these two paragraphs from the khutbah, they underscore the importance of seeking knowledge in general and seeking knowledge to protect ourselves from the doubts and misconceptions and misinformation that is actively being spread about Islam. And so there are a few points I want to mention to close. One of them is that the importance of learning our religion cannot be overstated. We have to learn. We have to study Islam. I'm not saying that everybody has to drop whatever they're doing and go and become a scholar. But I'm saying that Muslims have to actively seek knowledge of their religion. As the Prophet said in the hadith, طَلَبُ الْعِلْمِ فَرِيضَةٌ عَلَى كُلِّ Muslim. Seeking knowledge is obligatory upon every Muslim. It's something that all of us should be actively engaged in. And we're going to actively engage in seeking knowledge in accordance with what? Our ability, our time constraints, all those things are, these considerations have to be taken into consideration. These considerations have to be considered. But what I'm saying is everyone should, in accordance with his ability, his or her ability, be seeking knowledge, be trying to learn and improve ourselves, increase our knowledge of the deen so we can practice the deen correctly. If we know the deen properly, we can practice it correctly. If we don't, we can't. The second thing I want to say is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, هَلْ يَسْتَوِ الَّذِينَ يَعْلَمُونَ وَالَّذِينَ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Are they equal, those who know and those who do not know? And it's a rhetorical question, which the answer of it is ma'loom. The answer of it is well known. No, the people who know are not equal to those who know. Those who know the deen and practice the deen based upon knowledge are not equal to those who practice the deen based upon heritage, culture, custom, tradition, habit. And so we want to elevate ourselves from that level of just being cultural Muslims. Muslims by chance. We want to be Muslims by choice. How can we elevate ourselves to that level? Seeking knowledge by learning the deen. The third point I want to make is that one of the primary causes of doubt, we talked about 5 khutbahs we've been talking about how doubt is threatening the faith, actively threatening the faith of many Muslims, especially young Muslims. And what is the primary cause of doubt? Lack of knowledge, ignorance. And this being cultural Muslims, we're passing it on to our children. They don't know the deen. They're practicing it because that's what we raised them to do. But if you ask them what is the deen, many of them, they can't tell you. And if you don't believe me, sit with your child and ask them. Just go and ask your child, what does it mean to be Muslim? What is the deen? What is the most important aspect of the deen? If you were going to put the deen into one sentence, what would you say? You're going to summarize a religion into one sentence, what would you say? And see if they can answer these questions. A lot of young people, what they know about deen is we pray 5 times a day and we don't eat meat from Kroger. That's what they know about the deen. And that is not the deen. That is not the deen. These are aspects of the deen, but that is not the crux of the deen. And so one of the reasons why a lot of our children are having these doubts, our youth specifically, but all Muslims, regardless of age, it's a problem. But our youth specifically is because why? Many of them are going to public schools. Many of them are beyond grade school, middle school, and high school are going to universities where they're exposed to a lot of doubts and misconceptions, a lot of different philosophies and ideologies. And on top of that, their faith is constantly challenged. And if it's just a cultural faith, How can they protect themselves? How can they defend their beliefs? It's easy for them to begin to doubt what they believe in and ultimately what? To abandon what they believe in. Last but not least, from the things I wanted to point out is that we cannot, as a collective, I say all of this to say what? We cannot, as individual Muslims and as a community of Muslims, Muslim communities, cannot continue to be satisfied with believing in and practicing Islam in accordance with customs, societal norms, or community norms. This exposes us, as we've said repeatedly, to doubt and misinformation, misunderstandings, erroneous and even heretical beliefs and practices. And this is what we're seeing. We're seeing us doing a lot of things because that's what everybody does. Or that's because we've always done. Or the people back home, that's what they do. And so we just do it. We don't do it because we know it's right. We do it because this is all we know. This is what we've become accustomed to. And we have to get to the point, if we want to save ourselves, spare ourselves doubt, and more importantly, spare our youth, our young people doubt, protect them from losing their faith. And our faith has to be based upon knowledge, not based upon habit and custom. These are the points that I wanted to make. There's a lot that could be said about what we shared in the khutbahs, particularly expanding upon the virtues of Islam. But what I encourage all of us to do, because we've talked extensively about seeking knowledge and learning our deen, I encourage everyone to spend some time actively, researching those virtues of Islam. Those virtues of Islam which clearly show that it's absolutely the truth, unadulterated truth, unquestionably true. There are some books that have been written, I know in Arabic. I'm not sure if any of them have been translated, or there are individual books that have been actually authored in English. But I would encourage you to look for those books if they're out there. And if they're not, you can study just from the Quran, just from the Hadith, looking for the virtues of Islam, which clearly show it's the truth. And we mentioned some of them in the khutbah. There are more that we could mention, but because of the time that we wanted to spend, and we've already spent more time than we had hoped to do, we won't go into that. But I do encourage you to do your own research. And not just by yourself, share what you've learned and share the project. Cooperate, make it a cooperative, make it a cohort between yourself, your wife, and your children. That we're all going to study and learn, and in the process of that, the yaqeen, the certainty of the truth of this deen will become embedded, ingrained, rooted in your heart and the hearts of your family and the hearts of your children. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us from those who listen to the talk and follow the best of it. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to increase us in beneficial knowledge and to make us from those who truly benefit from the knowledge that He teaches us, by making us from those who put it into practice. Hada wa sallallahu wa sallam wa barak ala Nabi Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.